Recently, I began a new job working at McDonald's in downtown Chicago, just 20 minutes away from my apartment. Since money's been pretty tight, I have to get by somehow. A few weeks ago, something truly tragic happened. A man murdered his wife in the apartment next to mine. I barely knew the people who lived there, but judging by their constant verbal episodes every night, I couldn't help but feel that because I didn't do anything about it, this was all sort of my fault. That night, when I was lying in my bed, I couldn't get my mind off the thought that someone was murdered just a few feet away from where I was lying. When I finally started to drift off to sleep, I suddenly ended up in my neighbor's apartment, literally witnessing the murder. Something was odd, though. Instead of the man murdering his wife, it was a deranged, hunched-over creature wearing the same uniform the Ronald McDonald mascot from McDonald's does. He even had the smeared clown paint on his face. I stood there trying to escape, but I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed. As I sat there and watched the creature all hunched over, all demonic-like with his huge teeth and claws, digging into the elderly woman's flesh and biting into her, all while letting out a very loud, deranged growl. Suddenly I woke up, still in my bed, panting and covered in sweat. A few weeks later, I had gotten my mind off the nightmare. I had started to experience insomnia, however, with it getting progressively worse each and every night. Even with the nightmare no longer on my mind, and each and every day, I kept getting more and more tired and almost lifeless. After work one night, I was walking home and I felt like someone was walking directly behind me, breathing on my neck, so close that they were nearly stepping on the back of my shoes. I'm just tired, I thought, and kept walking until I tried to cross the street. And the next thing that I can remember is a loud banging sound, followed by complete darkness. I woke up strapped to a bed in a bright hospital room. I instantly began to panic, trying to escape, but it was impossible. Screaming? The sound echoed throughout the room, and still no one came. What the hell was this? Suddenly, I could see a darkened figure standing in the corner of the room. I was totally out of it. Was this a doctor? A nurse? It finally began to come into focus from the shadows, starting first with a long-clawed hand. The creature stood before my bed, staring at me, grinning at me with its huge, blood-stained teeth. The smell of rotted meat and blood filled the air in the hospital room. He had long, greasy red hair and that same smeared clown paint and suit from the nightmare. He stood over my bed, staring right at me, until finally walking over to the other side of the room. He took his large, sharp claw and began to scratch into the wall violently, until blood finally started to pour out of his long finger. He went back into the shadowy corner, and I could faintly read the messages on the wall. M. 2 bloody arches.